We got much to talk about after that one.
Do we start with Elaine, you were completely wrong and everyone else was really right? Or, oh my God, how are we going to sleep tonight? Because I'm not going to. I'm terrified. I'm so glad Mark's just been into the kitchen, which we can see from our living room, and he's closed the kitchen door, because usually if I catch a glimpse into the kitchen, I get scared because I can see out the back window and then my mind takes me to awful places of like terrible faces. I'm always imagining terrible faces up against the window. Like it's one of my daydreamy things that happens in my brain. That's called trauma. And when there was that bit with Irving in the forest and his dream, in inverted commas, I had to put my hand over my glasses and peek out, like tiny, tiny peeks. I won't watch that episode again. That was bloody terrifying. You were fine. You were just sat there quite happily giggling away at the horrifying face on the screen.
I mean, I was laughing a little bit at you not being able to watch it.
I was like, where's my pillow? Where's my pillow? I need a pillow to put over my face. This was pure horror, though, this episode, from beginning to end. I'm not just talking about the corpse bride behind it. Even, but that bit where Bert comes, and the little, and he pushes the thing down, and he goes back up again. That's terrifying, just thinking about that. But right from the beginning, it had horror vibes, and I wondered who was directing it, and I was interested to see it was Ben Stiller who had directed this episode, because it was terrifying.
The film that it reminded me of, certainly early on when they're walking through the forest, and this is a reference that maybe 1% of our listeners will get, is Tarkovsky's Stalker, which is a Russian film from the late 70s, early 80s.
Well, they were wearing sort of like Russian garb, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, it's a post-apocalyptic, people taken back into the zone where they can find this place that... It's one of them films that's like really high on the IMDb top 250, and I'm way too dumb to understand what the hell's going on. So I didn't really enjoy it. It was about 2.5 hours long in Russian, and I didn't enjoy it.
Well, to be honest, I did not enjoy this episode until the last 5 minutes.
My alarm bells are ringing massively.
Yeah.
I have faith in the creators of this show.
Yes, yeah.
And that goes for a lot. But the last 2 episodes for me have been a lesson in how not to tell a story in a way which I enjoy.
Yeah.
And this episode, I don't like. I mean, we can go into like what happens in this episode and everything like that. But this feels like I'm reading a Choose Your Own Adventure book from front to back.
Agree.
We ended with a big cliffhanger. At the end of last episode, or not a cliffhanger, but a big event. That is largely...
That would have been a finale event, we were saying, yeah?
Largely just ignored for the entirety of this episode, but with the main character whose eyes we see this show through in Mark S, is in this, and for a long time, we have no reference to that, so... Yeah,
we don't know if he's... Because I was thinking, is this in the past? Is this... some sort of time thing? Is this all a dream? Because seems the same.
I had a long time like making notes saying, what does this dream sequence mean? Oh no, this is actually the episode. And
the fact he's running off after Helly when he's really,
I mean,
and I understand he could, because if he's not severed anymore, he will still retain the feelings for Helly that he had, but he's also trying to find his wife, and I've got a bit confused there.
I think there is a narrative where you can lose a partner, develop feelings for someone else, find out that partner isn't dead, and then but still have feelings for this person who you've met in the meantime.
Oh, totally agree.
Obviously, the fact that this is 2 separate people at the same time, does.
But it would be nice to explore that a bit more, wouldn't it?
Yes, yeah, rather than
to be like, it's just Innie Mark. It just didn't seem to have that.
Innie and Doughty and Innie and Outie Mark.
God. Apologies, everyone. Mark made that joke during the actual episode as well.
Gutted I didn't save it just for the podcast.
I know, what a shame. I really struggled with the episode, not just because of the horror elements, which were giving me the creeps, but just I didn't understand why everyone was acting differently to the characters that we've come to know.
And this must be intentional by the show's creators. They know that when they put an episode where we take characters out of their normal surroundings, put them in almost non sequitur completely from the previous episodes that we've seen, they must know that that's going to rile up people. You know, we're waiting a week for this, and when we get something that's almost like a bottle episode and almost like a...
Yes.
Well, it is a bottle episode, but it's not a traditional bottle episode in that we're in a vast expanse and it's probably twice the expense of one that's just set in the office.
I think there were missed opportunities for, for bonding. This is meant to be a team building exercise, the Ortbo, as they call it. I would have liked to have seen, this is the first time they've been outside apart from when they, did the overtime doofer.
Yeah.
So this is the first time they've, and it was nighttime then. This is the first time they've been out in the daytime, in trees, in different clothing. This is the first time they've been able to have sleep. Like, they've not slept before. Irving's having a proper dream rather than his sort of gloopy black goo dream. I would have liked, when it's the campfire bit for me, when they were around the campfire, and I thought, you know what, if you stick a load of mates around a campfire with tents and warmth and food, they chat.
Yes.
They have deep conversations that they don't have in the office. And when everyone just went off to their tents, or Irving went trolloping through the... Trolloping, is that a word? Lolloping. Through the trees to find, the dead seal. Or is it? I just was like, oh, hang on a minute. That doesn't ring true. Why would they just all, why would Dylan just go off into his tent? Why would you would utilize that time? You would talk to people in a different way.
A couple of people did, but yeah.
Yeah, I know, and I get that. But I just didn't seem right to me.
It seemed, all of a sudden, Irv is on to Helly. Did we see any foreshadowing
Any
for
sign
that
of this?
in previous episodes? Because I don't think I did.
No.
Oh, we only watch these once. We might miss a glance or something like that. But all of a sudden, Irv has got everything figured out.
Now, I know that a couple of episodes when. You're looking at me worried. Don't be worried. This is something that's already been an episode. A couple of episodes ago, Irvin went into a telephone box, and we had a discussion about what might have been going on in that telephone box. Now, I know from the subtitles that Irv is saying, "My outie got the message," or words to that effect. I can't remember the exact things.
Okay.
Whether it's somehow Irving B has got the message that something, that's something to do with Helly, I don't know. I don't do enough of the hanging around the Reddits to make that guess or that leap or to have anything behind it. But I agree. It seems that he has suddenly, to be fair, I think it built through the episode. This night gardener, him looking at her, and then the final thing, which was, and I thought that she was really nasty to him around the fire. And that's when I finally clocked on to, oh, actually, I'm completely wrong. This is not being Helly all the way through. She's been doing a brilliant job in acting like Helly. So there's that scene where she's talking about the masturbation, and that's a word I didn't think I'd say on the podcast, and she's like laughing her head off, and Mark's laughing his head, and they're being like kids, which is what they used to be like. They were giggling kids, and Irving saying, oh, come on kids,
like when they went to the room, whatever it's called,
the perpetuity
yes
wing.
Thank you. Yeah
and that's why I was going, oh, it is her, it's got to be her, but everyone else has got to be wrong, because this is Helly. But when she turns to him and says, now come on, it was like a bully at school. It was like someone really pressing your buttons, and I just thought Helly just wouldn't do that. So maybe I'm talking myself into it.
I didn't get that at all. I thought it was more best. I took the reasoning that it was better placed, just possibly didn't come out as crueler than it was intended to be. Okay. I thought it was trying to explain, look, Irv's going through a hard time.
Yes, but the way you're saying it, the tone the way you say it is how a normal person would say it. She was like, now come on everyone, we all know he's angry because he can't see, but it was just the tone was very cold and very Helena.
I might have switched off at that point. And, just wondered what the fuck I was spending my Friday night watching.
Yeah, what are you watching? Did you feel it went a bit? I mean, I'm not as well versed in sort of the film stuff as you are, particularly not well read in film as you are, but did you feel it went a bit Cronenbergian towards it? Maybe not Cronenbergian, maybe Lynchian.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking. I was trying to
dream
think
sequences.
Yes, in the forest.
Yeah, it was
your workspace turning up.
It was certainly symbolism, squared and cubed and everything.
Do you think that bit where the Dieter, this new person, obviously a twin, which is great for us.
Yeah.
We always love a twin reference, don't we?
One of my notes is fucking twins. Yeah, that's
always great. When Dieter's the story with Dieter is that he goes into this hollow and he meets Woe, and Woe is like this a very small dead bride.
Yes.
And we see in the dream sequence, as much as we think that's what it is, a person at the desk tapping away, essentially where Helly would be, I would have thought. And I wonder if that also came into play, that he wakes up from this dream sequence and he goes, oh, that person is Woe. That person is not who they say they are. I don't know, maybe I'm just reading into it too much. I think you've probably switched off by now, given that you're clicking on your screen.
No, I'm just looking to see who this girl was who played Woe.
Well, didn't it feel to you just really and I mean it's obviously intentional computer graphics, like the twin, and put that in inverted commas, the twin people were like badly rendered versions of how it would be on like a Sega Mega Drive.
They are I wouldn't say necessarily Sega Mega Drive. It's you're probably PS3 level.
Commodore 64.
No, that would be very blocky and using about 8 colours. They are listed as Shadow Mark, Shadow Helly, Shadow Irving, and Shadow Dylan on the IMDb, and there are people who have been listed as portraying them. So,
right, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean it's probably just a.
I mean, they were horrifying. Did you see how Helly always had a bent neck?
Yeah. I mean, it's. Yeah, it was incredibly. It was the ring. It was.
It was. Yeah, I did not like the pointing.
So, what do we think we're doing with this?
To be honest with you, Mo, I have no idea. The one thing, can I be positive about it? The one thing that I really do like is that we're not lingering on this issue of, is it Heliar or is it Helena? I like that we've resolved that issue. I thought we'd resolved it last week, but yes, all right, fair enough. I like the fact that we are not scared of getting rid of characters. Whether Irving comes back again, who knows? But Irving B, as we know him now, we are the episode. I'm putting it at the telly. The episode is essentially saying to us that he has sacrificed himself. It feels like a sacrifice, but it also feels like Irv never wanted to be back anyway. It feels like a release for him. So character-wise, it feels right in my view, rather than have a moping Irving wandering round the office. So these are my positives that I take from it, that we are not lingering.
Yes.
And 12 episodes, we've all watched shows where another episode got another, and you feel like the storyline's being dragged out and no one really knows what's going on in the writer's room until they get to the finale and then they put a big twist in. I'm happy that we are moving forward at a pace. I just don't know where the show goes from here. You've now got 3 people. Who's going to be the 4th? Are they going to bring back Bob Balaban or Alia Shawkat or the lovely guy that we can't ever remember the name of? And I only know Alia Shawkat because I watched Blink twice the other night, and now I know her from there, and I'm very happy that I've got another reference.
She was in Whip It, I think.
In Whip It?
Yes.
Oh, I loved Whip It.
Not that much, clearly.
No, but I really, really did enjoy that.
Well, actually, now I mention it, on one of our first dates, we went to your house and I was looking at your DVD collection and I saw Whip It, and I was like, I knew that then that just 12 years later we'd be doing we'd be sat on a sofa doing a podcast
to Whip It. Where are we going with this? you know what, I'm. It's not often that I'm lost for words, but I kind of am. I'm worried that we're going into too deep lore here for me, that it's all going to get very confusing, and that simple premise of you have an innie and an outie, you have these two worlds, is becoming very complicated now. If Mark's like reintegrated, you've got Helly back, you've got Dylan with Dylan's wife, that going on. Who's going to be number 4? Are we going to see Irving outside again? We must do.
Yeah.
What's going on with Irving and his paintings? Is Felicia going to come along and say, oh, there's that export hall? There just seems to be this Regab, I can never get her name right. Is it Regabi? I do not know what's going to happen. And usually we would go through like character by character, wouldn't we? All of our other episodes.
How do we do
you
that?
Just can't.
No.
There's just we'd just be saying the same thing over again. Apart from, can we talk about Mr. Milchek and that coat?
I mean, that's a hell of a coat.
It's
I've just bought a new
hell of an
coat
outfit.
and I kind of want to send it back and
He looks
get.
so good.
I don't think I could pull it off.
No.
Miss Wang playing a theremin.
And the theremin, which is both terrifying and camp. It's like that lovely combination of there's something horrific going on around the campfire, but high camp.
Are theremins battery powered? Or...
I mean, you're asking the wrong person, love.
Triple, when we saw a theremin live. Someone
Yeah,
played a theremin
I
live.
do. Who did that? Was that, oh, what's his fella? Oh, I want to say Nightmare Before Christmas,
It's
and you're going to tell me
Danny
Danny Elfman.
Yeah.
It's Danny Elfman. Did he play a theremin?
No.
Oh, did someone
played a theremin on
Theremin.
the... We saw, just for everyone listening to this conversation, still listening, we went and saw Danny Elfman live do a retrospective of his scores at the Royal Albert Hall, and as part of the... I want to say Mars Attacks. It must be Mars Attacks.
It was Mars Attacks, yeah. Woo.
Yeah. Someone came out and
Sorry.
played a theremin.
That
And
was
then
my
someone came out
impression
and
of a theremin.
played a fiddle dressed as Edward Scissorhands.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that. Yeah,
That was a fun night, wasn't
That was
it?
a good night. Yeah, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed it more than this episode.
Thank
that
you.
we've
It
just
was one of your
watched.
birthday or Christmas
It
presents. Yeah.
It was. You do excellent gifting. It is one of the greatest things about you, actually, is that you do really good presents. I struggle with presents. I find imagining what a present might look like very, very difficult. Hence why I like people to just tell me what they want, and then I can go and buy them the thing, and we can just do the giving, and it all works out fine. Whereas with you will leave it very, very late, and you will just create a present. You will just think up a present that's perfect for the person.
And the ironic thing is, I bought your Christmas present in July last year, and it still is not ready.
It's still not here. I've still got an extra present to come.
You have no idea what that
Very
is either, do
exciting.
you? So that's...
I hope it's not a trip into the scariest forest you've ever seen in your life.
It's actually, yeah, you. I moved your desk out to the woods.
Oh, don't. See, it's just gone through me again. It's just too scary. I'm going to have to like run up the stairs and turn all the lights on before I go to bed.
We do that anyway.
Yeah, fair enough. I have no idea what else to say, hun. I'm genuinely really, really lost for words, and I wish I was lost for words in a more positive way. I'm just a bit.
You see, I have a feeling we might be... My fear is that we are alone in this, and everyone else is going to come out and go, best episode ever, because it is. Like, there is a lot that happens this episode.
It's the big reveal.
It's the big reveal and everything.
And the end of Irving, and it's very emotional.
All the things that were placed in this episode could have been said, like, in The Office, a lot of it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, most of it anyway.
Yeah, and maybe that's... I know what you're clearly alluding to, the sex scene.
But, I mean, yeah, you could have...
But could
you have done that.
Have found... Yeah, if
You might
popped
lack
into
the
that house
motivation.
in the
Yes. Yeah. So why is it just an absolute... we come in on... we hear the lift bell, and then we have shift into Inniev. Why is that? What happened to the outies? to get to that location.
Well, I think it's a choice of we start on Irv's face and we end on Irv's face. So I think that's a directorial choice.
But I mean, at some point, Outiev must have been took out to the woods and dumped on a ice.
I don't
unless
know.
there's a third.
I feel. Well, the lifts. Do you not feel there's like lifts involved? Like ping the lift. I'm talking in tongues then.
Do you know?
Do you know like, ping the lift? But I don't feel it's real. I'm not convinced this is real.
And this is why I spent so long thinking it's a dream sequence.
Well, I'm just wondering whether this is like a creation. A creation in their own mind that they're not actively out on the ice. That they're not. Do you not think it's? This is very confusing.
So you think it's? I mean, the other option is it's going back to Red Dwarf as we did last week, back to reality, which is you've never seen Red Dwarf, so you will have no idea what I'm talking about.
No.
There is an episode of Red Dwarf where the crew all die, and go back to the real world where it's real. They were playing a game all along, like a immersive sort of virtual reality game. It turns out they weren't. They were attacked by what's called a despair squid, which puts them in the worst mood possible, and that was the way that they did it. It's a really good episode.
You said you'd never mention Red Dwarf again.
I'm not sure I made that promise to anyone.
No, I think you sort of said this is the last time I would ever, in a sort of a jokey way. No, you brought it back.
But I don't see how else this. How did this start? How did they get Mark? Because Mark is apparently
up on a
unsevered. So how did he get into the woods?
How did he get? Well, that's why I'm thinking with the ding.
He must
and
know.
everything.
He must know where this. If this is how this works, and then I mean, we've never. Yeah, this is the issue.
Okay.
And is the next episode going to show us the lead up to this? In which case, you have put this episode in purely to play with the audience, which I'm not against, but like. I'm not coming out of this episode feeling great, which is kind of on you.
You're not enjoying the playing.
Yeah, that's it. Like you can probably get away with this 2 or 3, 4 times because 2 or 3 more times because well, maybe not even 2 or 3 more. We're going to carry on watching this until the end of the season at least, and then and it's not the fact that we hate this. It's just I'm annoyed that I've had to sit that. The narrative of the show is making me sit through this and wonder things that we have characters that know the answers that I don't, if that makes sense. Yeah. And characters that are telling us first-person narratives. And
it just feels disjointed, doesn't it? It feels like we're jumping backwards and forwards, and it's almost like... It's just almost like there's a lot of jumble, right? It's like they want to get this stuff in. And it's very every episode. I mean, I know it sounds ridiculous, but every episode is so separate from the episode before.
Yes.
But big things are happening, and the links between them. And I've felt all along that the characterization this year just hasn't. Something's felt wrong. Something's felt off to me, and I thought it was because people were saying the people are not who they were before, and that made sense. But now I'm not so sure. Now I'm just wondering whether it's just the characterization's off. I don't know. What I think will happen is we'll get to the end and we were like, bravo, this has been amazing, and now it all makes sense, or at least it's coming together more. But it feels so like I'm in my brain, I'm like, what about the goats? Like 5 minutes ago, I'm in a room with Gwendolyn Christie thinking about these, and now I'm so far away from that. It's unbelievable. So yeah, it's just, and maybe it's because it's got bigger, it's got richer. They can't just do series 1 again. We wanted a series 2.
Yeah.
And they've given us a series 2, so you can't be too angry with it. And look at the conversation it's sparked. It's not like we're sitting here just replaying the same old jokes again, like, from the last couple of weeks, and thinking, oh, let's talk about what's happened to Mark, let's talk about what's happened to Helly. You know, it's completely thrown us off balance. Which, I mean, don't you want shows to do? And isn't that the sign of good telly? I don't know.
I think there is a difference between a show challenging me and just going out of its way to confuse me for the sake of confusing me. My worry is that this show is going out its way to confuse its audience more than tell a story that I am interested in seeing. I come out of that and I can pick up plenty of things about the plot that I really enjoy. But this is told in a way where I am asking more questions about why have they done this rather than why did the characters do this or anything like that. And I think that is a problem for me. But, you know, next week they may explain it all and it'll be absolute genius. I think last season I would have given them the benefit of the doubt of, well, I'm happy to trust them. I'm now starting to think, are they going to explain this next week?
Mm-hmm.
Are they? Yeah.
And how many series is this going to be? And and how far are we going to go? Yeah, I agree. I think it's just broadened it out so much more than I think my brain can cope with. And I have to be honest, I'm just not. Never mind the fact that I'm petrified of anything scary. But I just didn't enjoy the computer graphic-y, weird, corpsey girl type stuff. It just didn't do anything for me. In the what I really like about the show is that it does have a grounding in reality. That it is talking about workplace experiences. They call it a workplace thriller, which I think is really cool. You know, and so you want it to be grounded. Okay, Irving was having a nightmare, you know, that makes sense. You know, we've seen this before, but the fundamental part of it is here are 4 people who are working together and who are are becoming a team with some mysteries attached to what's going on with their employer, and this just took it so far away from that. Why are you laughing?
I'm just laughing because today at work someone sent me a message in a little Teams group chat saying, what do you reckon's going to happen tonight on Severance then?
And did you say, well, I've got this
podcast? Can you imagine if someone's got that right?
Oh, right. Let's bring this to a close. We may be the only people who really weren't that keen on this episode. And I'm looking forward to going and listening to all the other podcasts that I listen to see what our mates think.
I only listen to one podcast, and that's the Cinema.
Oh, well done you.
Yeah.
Big gold star for you.
I see Bald Move doing a 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I listen to that.
Not me. Not for me.
I listen to Decoding TV with Dave Chen, and I listened to, and I will be listening to tonight, as soon as we finish this, the official Severance podcast with Adam Scott and Ben Stiller. And I'll feel really bad when they talk about everything that they did with this episode. And I'll be thinking, oh, these 2 idiots from the Northeast pulled it apart.
I'm more interested in listening to that this week than I would be any other week, because I'm interested how they sit with a straight face. And I'm going, yeah. I'm interested to understand the motivation behind this.
Let's not piss off Ben Stiller.
I'm sure he's listening.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's.
Hey, you never know. I got a message from Jeff Lloyd on Instagram the other day.
I'm jealous.
I know
jealous.
you are.
I'm sure he's got up because it's it's 1 o'clock US LA time at the minute.
Okay.
I'm sure he gets up and goes, when is the honeymoon period going to release their episode?
You just don't know these things. You just don't know. Yeah.
Okay. If you're there, Ben.
Hi, Ben. Thanks for the scary bits.
Put a chimp wearing a cricket kit in the next episode.
But you can't. He's already filmed it.
Oh yeah, that's the reason it's not going to happen.
Thanks, everyone. Let us know what you think.
See you later.
See you later.